Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. Love is a serious mental disease. The empty vessel makes the loudest sound. Courage is knowing what not to fear. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. At the touch of love everyone becomes a poet. Thinking the talking of the soul with itself. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. To be conquered by yourself is of all things most shameful and vile. Honesty is for the most part less profitable than dishonesty. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help, and what they cannot. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. Let parents bequeath to their children not riches, but the spirit of reverence. Ignorance, the root and stem of all evil. Science is nothing but perception. No one is a friend to his friend who does not love in return. Necessity, the mother of invention. Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as first it resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life. If a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life. When men speak ill of thee, live so as nobody may believe them. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. When he first appears he is a protector. No man should bring children into the world who is unwilling to persevere to the end in their nature and education. To be sure I must, and therefore I may assume that your silence gives consent. Man of being in search of meaning. Death is not the worst that can happen to men. Nothing in the affairs of men is worthy of great anxiety. Better a little which is well done, than a great deal imperfectly. For good nurture and education implant good constitutions. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. He who is not a good servant will not be a good master. Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. We do not learn, in what we call learning is only a process of recollection. Justice means minding one's own business and not meddling with other men's concerns. To suffer the penalty of too much haste, which is too little speed. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. Must not all things at the last be swallowed up in death? No law or ordinance is mightier than understanding. Wonder is the feeling of the philosopher, and philosophy begins in wonder. As the builders say, the larger stones do not lie well without the lesser. It is right to give every man his due. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. When the mind is thinking, it is talking to itself. All the gold which is under or upon the earth is not enough to give in exchange for virtue. Any man may easily do harm, but not every man can do good to another. The excessive increase of anything causes a reaction in the opposite direction. Whatever deceives men seems to produce a magical enchantment. States are as the men, they grow out of human characters. The learning and knowledge that we have, is, at the most, but little compared with that of which we are ignorant. The most important part of education is proper training in the nursery. The eyes of the soul of the multitudes are unable to endure the vision of the divine. Poets utter great and wise things which they do not themselves understand. Wisdom alone is the science of other sciences. Cunning is but the low mimic of wisdom. Tyranny naturally arises out of democracy. The community which has neither poverty nor riches will always have the noblest principles. One man cannot practice many arts with success. There is no such thing as a lover's oath. They certainly give very strange names to diseases. No evil can happen to a good man, either in life or after death. Then not only an old man, but also a drunkard, becomes a second time a child. No one knows whether death, which people fear to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. No one ever teaches well who wants to teach, or governs well who wants to govern. The blame is his who chooses. God is blameless. There must always remain something that is antagonistic to good. The highest reach of injustice is to be deemed just when you are not. To love rightly is to love what is orderly and beautiful in an educated and disciplined way. It is a common saying, and in everybody's mouth, that life is but a sojourn. When a benefit is wrongly conferred, the author of the benefit may often be said to injure. Virtue is relative to the actions and ages of each of us in all that we do. Excessive liberty, whether it lies in state or individuals, seems only to pass into excessive slavery. Not to help justice in her need would be an impiety. Man is a wingless animal with 2 feet and flat nails. Hardly any human being is capable of pursuing 2 professions or 2 arts rightly. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share this video.